All right. We are ready
Yep. Ready to go.
for episode 93.
We're getting closer to 100.
We're getting very close to 100.
It's just around the corner.
We're also getting very close to relationship refresh.
Oh, yes. I'm excited about that. Relationship refresh is one of my favorite things that we do all year long.
Just over a week away.
Oh, I didn't realize it was that close, I
Yeah.
guess.
Do you feel ready?
No, but we will be.
Are you excited?
I am excited. Yeah, I can't wait. It's always a really good time.
What are you most excited about?
To be honest, I know this is not a very spiritual answer.
Okay.
But I'm most excited to spend time with you and that we would refresh our relationship.
And I'm most excited for the spiritual aspect.
Nobody believes that.
Just spending time together.
Yeah.
I love it.
I mean, I really love like digging into the Word of God and, really talking about marriage and learning about how our marriage can glorify God and how it can be better and all of these things. And I love teaching other people and working with other couples. But I really am mostly looking forward to just the two of us.
One of the things I love the most is it's a lot like what we're doing right now, which I absolutely love to do, but more of it.
Okay. As in...
And there's people in the room.
Yeah.
And so that's always kind of fun.
Yeah, it's fun when there's some people in the room. But you mean, you're just talking about like the together teaching.
Yeah, working together.
Working off of one another. Mm-hmm.
So,
I like that too.
Another week. You still got time to get your tickets.
Yeah.
Join us in Orlando.
Please come. Enjoy.
Got somebody flying in from Iowa.
Yep.
So wherever you are, fly into Orlando, spend a couple days with us, and then you can spend the rest of your time at Disney or whatever else.
Yeah. It's a great location for sure.
Okay. Let's dive in to episode 93.
Let's do it.
Gather round, everybody. It's time for a family meeting.
Why?
The Family Meeting is a show that's all about family relationships. We're the Ostracamps. I'm Thomas. This is my beautiful, adorable, loving, frustrated wife, Lysandra.
No. I want a new teammate.
You cannot wait to spend extra time with this next week.
Yeah. What I'm really hoping is to train you better. Hello and welcome to our family. Welcome to episode 93 of the Family Meeting Podcast. On today's episode, we're going to talk about strengths and weaknesses in marriage.
Now, before we jump into the topic for today, I have a question I want to ask you, Lysandra.
Okay.
I need to put you on the hot seat
All right.
with all of our listeners.
I feel like I live on the hot seat with you as my husband.
And for everybody watching on YouTube. Do you know what today is?
Wednesday.
All right. It is Wednesday.
Okay.
Nice. Do you know what the date is?
I don't. I mean, the 4th of July was just the other day, so it's like the 5th or 6th. Happy anniversary, babe!
I knew you didn't know. I knew you had no idea that today was literally July 6th.
Happy anniversary.
Yeah.
This is not our wedding anniversary, so I feel like people shouldn't be that hard on me and people being you.
You just never remember. We've talked about this on the podcast.
know.
Like she's just not the romantic type person. So I'm evil because I knew you didn't remember, and I was going to put you on the spot.
That's really rude. I'm a complex person because I'm very sentimental. Like I'm super sentimental about things and
everybody
memories.
but me.
No, I'm super sentimental about you and like things that I've saved from our relationship over the years. But dates, I don't know. I'm so sorry. But happy anniversary of the day that you told me you love me.
And it's on this computer here, July 6th. It's on this computer here, July 6th.
But it's so small.
Right in front of us.
It's so small I can't read
It's
that.
on your phone when you got up. The alarms go off because you set an alarm to remind you that today is one of the most wonderful days of your entire life.
Can you set alarms for your calendar?
Yeah.
So like your calendar can go off as an alarm, not like just the little reminder like some event is coming up, but like it comes off like an alarm.
Yeah.
You have to teach me how to do that.
I'd rather not.
All right,
this is a lot of fun.
This is going to play into our episode though. you need to teach me how to make my calendar become an alarm. This is going to come up.
So you did this to teach everyone a lesson.
Yeah.
She did this whole charade of pretending to forget that her husband loves her.
And I'm
26 years now.
You told me you loved me for the first time 26 years ago?
26 years ago.
Wow. How old was I? 12 or 11? I think was I 11?
Yeah.
I think I was 11.
Yeah.
Yeah. He wasn't scared.
26 years ago.
That's pretty cool.
But whatever you're doing is working. I'm still here.
That's true. All right. Should we talk about strengths and weaknesses?
I think that would be appropriate after the opening.
Obviously, your strength is remembering anniversaries. You're very good at it.
My strength is remembering anything about you.
That is true. But you know what? One of your weaknesses, well, I don't know if it's a weakness. Did you plan anything? Your weakness is planning. Did you plan anything for the anniversary?
Yeah.
You did not. You're lying. I can see it in your eyes. YouTubers, you can see that in his eyes.
No,
right?
because remember, okay.
Okay.
Remember when you said,
yes, you're right.
you asked how long until we were ready to podcast.
Yep.
And I
'Cause
said,
was gonna
why? What do you want to
yeah.
do? And you said ground hamburger.
I was going to
lunch. And I was
prep
like,
lunch.
ground hamburger for lunch. What are you doing? And you said enchiladas. And I was like, well, what if I have plans?
And I was like, you don't have plans.
You're like, what plans do you have?
You were going to take me out to lunch for our anniversary?
I was, yes.
That would have been so
Until
romantic. Now I get nothing, which is what I deserve. So, strengths and weaknesses in marriage, shall we?
Marriage is a team, though.
Yeah, the next line in our podcast is marriage is a team.
Yeah.
This is a dysfunctional team, but it is a team nonetheless. So two become one flesh. That's what marriage is, right? Genesis 2:24. Therefore, a man shall leave his father and his mother and hold to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. When we get married, we become a team. We are no longer Thomas Osterkamp and Lysandra Gilchrist. We are now Thomas and Lysandra Osterkamp.
Yep. Tandy.
So cool.
Yeah. Team Osterkamp. I went from
Osterkamp.
Team Osterkamp to Team Osterkamp. Easy transition.
Yeah, it's much easier
Just
for the man.
added a teammate.
Yes. But a good team works together and understands the abilities of their teammates. But not only that, also understands how to help their teammates succeed in the areas where they excel. We not only have to help succeed in those areas where we excel, but we also have to understand the weaknesses and support and help and come alongside in those weaknesses and try to kind of pick up the slack, so to speak.
Yeah.
And we're going to look at how to capitalize on our strengths and minimize our weaknesses. We want to discuss how to help our spouse with their weaknesses and empower them to use their strengths to their best ability.
Now, before you can capitalize on one another's strengths and assist in each other's weaknesses, you have to identify what those things are. So I really want you to stop and to think about this right now. What are your spouse's strengths? And I encourage you just to even make a list of them. What are their strengths?
Would be good.
What are their weaknesses? Okay? Now, I'm not asking you to make a big long list of their weaknesses. You probably know what they are. Some of those things are probably the things that annoy you or irritate you. What we don't want to do is we don't want to turn this into a nag session on somebody's weaknesses.
Yeah. Finally, the opportunity I've been waiting for to tell you how horrible you are.
Exactly. That's not the point of all of this. The point is to know how to better assist one another. So if I know that my wife has a weakness in a certain area, maybe that's tech or remembering holidays, or...
You can help me by publicly shaming me?
Yes. I can teach her a very public lesson.
Well, if nothing else, we're a bad example.
And we say that every episode. And so you learn from that.
Okay.
But hopefully you already know the answer to those questions. If not, it's time to know your spouse. Mm-hmm. And one of the verses that I really have made like the verse of our marriage is 1 Peter 3:7 that says this: likewise, husbands, live with your wives in an understanding way, giving honor to them as the weaker vessel, since they are heirs with you. The way the King James puts it, it says to dwell with your wife according to knowledge. In other words, I, as a husband, am supposed to know my wife. You are to know your wife. Ladies, you're to know your husbands. And I know a lot of guys who use the excuse, like, I just can't understand my wife. Well, yeah, you can and you should. A lot of times we just don't want to. We don't want to take the time. We don't want to put in the effort to get to know them. So we have a responsibility to know our spouses. It's not okay to say, well, no one can understand a woman. You see that, you've probably seen that meme going around, and it's like the thickest book you've ever seen. And on the binder, it says, understanding a woman or something like that.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
Some people talk about, it's just impossible to understand my wife. No, you can understand them. But we have to put in the time to get to know them. And the same is true for wives with their husbands.
That's right. And if you just stop and think for a moment, you can see an area in your spouse's character, personality, and abilities in which they excel. You just have to think for a minute, okay?
Some might have to think longer and harder than others.
Yeah.
God bless Lysandra.
Oh, stop. There are strengths in everyone. And so if you stop for a minute, you can really start to see your spouse's strengths. They're the ways that they excel. And like Thomas said, it might be a great idea for you to begin to write a list. This can become, it sounds like it's going to become a pros and cons list. Like,
yeah.
Why to not get divorced, pros and cons.
Pro. They make enchiladas at random for you for lunch.
You know what? Enchiladas was like the first meal I ever cooked for you.
It was, yeah.
It was your favorite meal that your mom made, and you had me learn from her how to make them, and then I made them for you for the first meal ever. And that is why I chose to make them on the day of our anniversary.
You are such a stinking liar. It was very thoughtful of you. I don't know why you chose enchiladas, but I do like them. You don't make them often, but I know it had nothing to do with what day it was. Why did you pick enchiladas?
I don't want to tell you. I don't want to tell you.
Because it was the girls?
Catherine asked for
I knew it.
They were a request from one of the kids. Okay. But I do love you very, very much.
It is a funny coincidence.
Yeah. But the truth is that you do know what your spouse is good at if you think about it for a minute. But you also see the ways that they struggle. Sometimes it's easier to see the ways they struggle. You know, the things that are hard for them, the ways that maybe they wish they could improve, or maybe you wish that they could improve. You probably already know their strengths and weaknesses. You maybe just have not sat down and thought about it. If you still can't figure it out and you're like, man, I don't know, then there are a lot of personality tests available to you online that can help with this. We've done different personality tests over the years. We've also done spiritual gifting tests, which I highly encourage you to do as a couple, because it's really important to serve the Lord together as a couple, which we've done an episode on service to God as a couple and as a team.
Yeah.
But go ahead and just find one of those spiritual gift tests. Find the personality test so you can understand like the difference in your personalities, because that will help you to understand strengths and weaknesses. So rather than being excited to talk about how horrible and talentless your spouse is, rather than that, what we're going to do is one of the best ways to discuss your strengths and weaknesses as a couple is to share one another's strengths and share your own weaknesses. So it's not that I'm going to sit here and talk about how horrible Thomas is.
That could be a long talk.
Rather, I will talk about his strengths, and I'm going to let him talk about his own weaknesses. So Thomas, are you ready to get painfully honest with our listeners and our viewers?
No.
Okay, well, I guess we're done then. We have to be honest, okay? Are you going to be honest? I have a feeling you're going to lie about me.
I'm going to be totally honest.
Thomas looks at me through like love-colored glasses, and he thinks I can do no wrong. So he's not good at like...
I really only wear glasses to drive at night or to preach on Sundays.
Yeah. He tends to be like, you have no weaknesses. And I'm like, shut up.
You have some weaknesses.
Thank you. Yes, I do. Lots of them.
Your weakness is that you have so many strengths.
You're such a nerd. All right. Are you ready now? Are we going to be honest here?
No.
Okay. Let's talk about our strengths and weaknesses. I ignore you. That's a strength. Okay. So, Thomas.
Yes.
You're going to start us out.
I'm going to start us off.
We are going to put the magnifying glass on me. we're doing this now as an example to what you guys can do in your own homes and maybe tonight in your family meeting. So this is going to be an example. So don't mess us up, babe.
That's going to be tough because I mess up everything. It's one of my weaknesses, but also one of my strengths.
I don't understand you at all.
But you should. We just talked about that.
All right.
So I'm going to start by sharing your strengths.
Okay.
And this is going to be like the longest episode that we've ever had.
Doubtful.
Because I am going to go on and wax eloquent about your strengths.
You know, I feel really uncomfortable right now. Like, I dislike this portion of our podcast right now. Just get it over with.
Strength number 1.
Just get it over with. I hate this. Hurry up.
You are the most helpful person I know. Lysandra's very helpful. She is a very hard worker. She's an entrepreneur, has her own business, and really does whatever it takes to help out the family and make sure that we have what we need. Very thoughtful, not just about me and about our kids, but about people in general. Very empathetic. You can just feel other people's pain. You care about how other people feel, and you're highly motivated, highly organized. You're smart in so many ways. I think about finances for one thing. And so you have a lot of different strengths. One of your strengths is beauty.
Sorry, go ahead.
Is that a little snot coming out?
It was a little spit, actually. I'm thankful it wasn't snot.
Yeah. So you have a long list of strengths.
Okay. I'm glad that's over. Let's get on to my weaknesses. This is the good part. This is the juicy part, which this is hilarious. My very first thing that I put as my weakness is I'm overly empathetic, and you put that as a strength.
Oh, I think that's a huge strength.
It can become a weakness though, because I get too empathetic, and I
agree with that.
My weakness is I care too much. But it truly is. I mean, it really becomes a problem, like legitimately, no joke. And therefore, also, I'm overly sensitive. So I have to really watch that. I am a workaholic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can be, yeah, for sure.
Problem. I have to force myself to talk to you when I'm upset. Like my nature is to give you the cold shoulder and not talk to you and get angry and just be quiet.
And shut down, yeah.
Yeah, and shut down. Technology of every sort is my weakness.
Yeah.
I lack vision. I do not like see a vision and go for it. I just do. I'm like a robot. I'll just keep doing whatever I've been doing forever, unless somebody charts my course in a different direction. I am weakest at nights. Nights are my kryptonite. I'm terrible at night. I can't function well at all or even speak correctly at night. I love food way, way too much. I talk too much. I am sometimes too energetic and like in your face, which I interpret as annoying. Yes?
I'm not saying anything. I'm just listening. Just listening.
I also struggle with like confidence in decision making and stuff. So I'm constantly like, oh, was that the right choice with my kids? Oh, was that the right choice with that lady at church? Oh, was that the right choice? You know, about everything. And I also think I'm lazy. I don't understand how you can be a workaholic and lazy, but I am somehow both of those things.
That's not true.
It is true.
You're not lazy.
You don't know me.
I do know you.
Okay, I don't know how to argue with you on this, but I know me.
You just painted our whole house in a day and a half.
Well, but everybody helped.
I know, but that's...
Okay, so...
Lazy is not a word I would ever associate with you at all.
I know, but there are times when I just like can't get... Like today. I needed to go for a run and I was going to go for a run.
No, you needed rest.
And I chose not to go for a run.
Which was the right choice.
Yeah, I felt lazy. Okay, I guess let's just make that the end of the list. I feel like I could go on for absolutely hours on this. But you know what? There's another weakness. Just like kind of putting myself down would be a weakness. I don't know how to put that, which is pride. Another weakness. Okay. So let's talk about this first spouse, the wife. So we talked about her strengths. We talked about her weaknesses. Now, how can we maximize the strengths and minimize the weaknesses in our relationship?
Okay, so here's some ways that I can empower Lysandra to use her strengths and help assist her in her weaknesses. One of the strengths that I didn't mention was your ability to speak. Public speaking is one of your many strengths. And so I can help you out in that area by assisting you with whatever you need to make that happen and allowing you the opportunity to and encouraging you to travel when you get the chance to speak at this event or at that retreat or whatever else, without guilt of leaving home and the family and me having to I can pick up more slack here at the house while you're out doing those things.
Yeah.
So that's one of those ways that I can empower you.
Very good.
Finances. You're very good with finances. And so one of the ways that I have helped to empower is I just turn that over to you because that's one of my weaknesses. And we haven't talked about my weaknesses yet, but that's one of them. And so understanding that is your strength and just saying, hey, just take it and go and do your thing.
And thinking about my weaknesses, so technology is my biggest weakness and it is your strength. And so you have the ability to come through and help me when I can't figure out the computer. And there have been truly days where I have been on my laptop crying. I don't know why it won't send. I tried everything.
Oh man, I remember.
Send. I'm crying in my laptop.
One of the first years you did our taxes.
That was years ago. I was talking about like 2 months ago.
But this is when we first got married, and you were doing our taxes with one of the online programs. I forget what it was. And,
it was TurboTax back in the day.
Yeah,
when TurboTax was kind of new.
That's right. And I remember you have handled all our financial stuff. So you were doing our taxes. And I went, I forget where I was going. I went out somewhere.
I spent hours.
I was gone for a couple hours.
And that whole time I was just on the computer, like entering all the numbers.
And so I come back and you are just in tears. And you are just so frustrated. And you can't figure out how to just, you're like, I'm all done.
I'm done.
I just
it's
don't
finished.
know how to turn it in. And I just walk over and push send and I'm like, well, I guess I did our taxes this year. So
I was
welcome.
so mad.
You're welcome, babe.
I was so mad at you. But seriously, like that happened 2 months ago too.
Yeah.
When I was trying to enroll the girls in our our state college for dual enrollment for their high school, and and you came and just like you just pushed send basically.
Like, beep beep boop boop done.
Yeah, exactly. So that is a huge weakness of mine and a huge strength of his. So I come to him with all of my tech questions and get help from him, which is awesome.
And I need to be better at, and this is one of my weaknesses, is if something's a strength for me, I think that automatically it ought to be easy for everybody else. So like technology, for the most part, it's very intuitive to me and I just get it.
I hate that word.
I just get it. And so it's hard for me to understand somebody who doesn't just get it. Like we just had an instance, so I'm gonna let you in on a situation we had yesterday.
And this situation is not resolved, by the way. I'm literally waiting for the right time to bring this up to you, so we can talk about it. But I guess now, no.
So we were riding in the car to meet some friends for breakfast yesterday, and you were like, "Hey, we're getting ready to do this thing here. I need an hour of your time to get this submitted. Because we're going to be speaking at an event in January. So I need your help to get this submitted. Just give me an hour." And I'm like, "Have you tried to submit it?" Like,
no, the first thing you said was, why do you need an hour to submit something?
Yeah.
And I was like, because it takes me a long time.
Yeah.
And then you said, did you even try?
And then you reminded me that you needed some pictures and stuff from me, and I totally forgot about that.
Which I did try when you were in Iowa. I tried, and I realized like I was not going to be able to do it without at least some guidance from you.
So that's one of my, and we're talking about, hey, supporting the strengths, but also assisting in the weaknesses. I need to be better at assisting in areas like that.
And I think though you brought up a really important point for all of us to consider, and that is the things that are our strengths are not necessarily strengths for everyone else, and we have to understand that. Like, for instance, if you don't show mercy on people, and I'm like, I don't understand how you cannot care. How can you not care? And it's frustrating to me. And yet I have to understand like that's a strength of mine, which also I mentioned can be a weakness, but I can't just assume that should be easy for you.
Yeah.
And so the reverse is true. So really, I think that's something that all of us should probably be examining ourselves about. Are we expecting other people, specifically our spouses, to be able to do the things that we're good at or the strengths that we have? Well, that would be very foolish of us. So you brought up a good point.
I need to be better at assisting in the tech side of things. But you mentioned like one of your weaknesses was being too empathetic and taking on other people's feelings.
Yes.
And so one of the things that I have to do is I have to come in as more of the side of
reason.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And try to help you to see like, okay, this is an appropriate way to feel. This is not appropriate. Like this really doesn't concern you, and this is not your situation.
You do that very well and all the time.
Yeah.
I am so thankful for that about you. You really helped me with that.
And you talked about just some of your self-confidence, self-esteem issues. And so I need to come alongside and kind of speak the supportive, the encouraging things to you. Now, whether you will accept them or not, that's another story. But I need to make sure that I'm coming in with those words and trying to help support and uplift you in those situations.
So I lack vision, and this is a way that Thomas helps me in my weakness. Thomas is a visionary, so therefore he comes alongside, and he oftentimes will help me to see like it doesn't have to be that small. Like you can make this bigger. You can go big, and so he's kind of he is my vision. I have no vision of my own, so he comes in and brings that side for me, and then I can accomplish a lot more than I ever would. In fact, we were just talking about this the other day when we were on our long walk, remember, about the fact that I think that I would have done much less with my life if Thomas had not come alongside and been like, no, you can do this and you're going to go do this. And how many times in our lives have I been like, you expect too much of me. I cannot do that. There's no way I can do that. And you're like, yes, you can, go do it. And you get real tough, like, but that's what I need.
And every time, what happens?
I accomplish it.
You do it.
Yeah, it's true. But that is because of you. You are my vision, and you oftentimes will push me to my fullest potential. And I appreciate that. Nights are my weakness. Thomas allows me to just shut down at night.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't expect me to do anything. If it's too late and we didn't for whatever reason get to have supper, he will never ask me to like get out of bed at 9:30 and go cook a meal for him or something. So he really helps me in that way as much as well. So, all right, babe, let's turn the spotlight on you.
I think we can just finish here.
I don't think so.
I think people understand what we're trying to say.
I think so too, but we have to do, you can't just do one spouse and not the other.
Why?
Because that would be one-sided. It's got to be a team. You have to know the whole team, not half the team. Yeah, you have nothing to say to that. So
no, people just want to know about Michael Jordan. They don't care about Scottie Pippen.
I don't even know who that is. Well, okay, wait.
You're Michael Jordan.
I'm no.
Yeah.
I think I do know Scottie Pippen. But I'm seeing like a Scottish person. So I don't know why.
You definitely don't know Scottie Pippen. No.
I probably don't. Okay. So I'm going to share your strengths. And there are lots of them.
Okay.
You're fantastic. Okay. First of all, he's very smart. Thomas is a very smart man. he is one of those guys who can pass the test with an A and not studying, just paying attention in class. You're brilliant. And he's super funny and has a great sense of humor.
The girls think so anyway.
They do. We've had a conversation in our family about who's the funniest, and I'm like not even on the list. Thomas is at the top. You are an amazing graphic designer. He has so much talent in graphic design. He's fantastic in a sticky situation. So I think of like
if you spill syrup, I'm your man.
You would never clean up syrup, ever. Have you ever cleaned up syrup?
I don't spill syrup, so.
Okay, so what I mean by that is when like everything's falling apart and there's an emergency situation, he's very cool, calm, and collected and can figure out a solution quickly, and one that's pretty good. Now, he might be a little cranky at that moment, but he comes
depending
through.
on the situation, yeah.
But he comes through pretty well, and he can figure things out quickly. I already mentioned this, but it has to be mentioned again. He is a visionary. So you dream big. You dream big, and it's pretty awesome. I think that's one of your greatest strengths. You're awesome with everything tech related, not just graphic design, but literally everything. He thinks is intuitive, which I hate it when he tells me that something techie is intuitive, because I'm like, no, it's not.
I'm like, how do you not know this? Like, it's
because
so easy.
I don't know. So one thing I appreciate about you is that if you don't know how to do it and it's something you want to do, you will research until you can do it. Like you will figure out a way, whether it's YouTube.
If I want to do it, yeah.
If you want to do it. If you don't want to do it, forget it. You love God and you love the church. You're an excellent preacher and speaker. You're a fabulous father in every way. You're a spectacular husband. You're very good at forgiving me, and I need that a lot. And you don't keep any records of wrongs. So even with the kids and stuff, sometimes I'm reminding you of their record of wrongs so that I can be like, no, this is the 6th time she did that.
Yeah, you're like, don't you remember we've had this conversation about this already?
When
like,
Thomas forgives,
no,
he forgets. Like he lets everything go. You are punctual. And I love that about you. You're dependable, you're wise, and you're very, very fun. But there are many other strengths I'm sure that will come out as we continue to talk. Those are the ones I was thinking of though.
Okay, so let's talk some weaknesses here.
Okay.
One of my weaknesses is I get easily bored with stuff. So like I will be highly motivated at something for a while, and then I just get bored and I'm ready to move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
So not like completing things can happen at times.
I'm glad you're not like that in our marriage.
Yeah.
Get bored.
Well, you keep me on my toes, so I can't get bored.
That's true.
I am not, for the most part, I'm not a very organized person. So organization is not my strength. It's so funny that I'm married to somebody who loves organization. Literally, one of your favorite stores is a Container Store because it helps to organize.
Yeah.
I don't know whatever that noise was you just made about the Container Store, but that just shows how much she loves the Container Store and organization.
Oh, okay.
So organization. I could care less about like the mundane things of keeping up the house or the finances or any of those type of things, administration type stuff that are important. I am an introvert, so like having the conversations with people and basically socially I have a lot of weaknesses. The personal conversations are very taxing. It was funny because yesterday I came across a meme that I shared with some people, and it's pictures of Rocky doing all his training stuff,
yeah.
and it says introverts getting ready to make a phone call. So that's one of those things. I really lack mercy in a lot of ways. So I can tend to lean towards the harsher side of things. I'm more goal-orientated than I am people-orientated. So there's times where I'm so focused on something that I'm not really paying attention to the people around me, which can come off very rude. And in fact, I had a situation, I think I talked about this on the podcast already at one point, but a few weeks ago, it was on a Sunday, and I was so focused on what I needed to do that day that I walked right by somebody. I was walking by somebody and really not even noticing that they're there. And he had the courage to stop me and say, "Hey, don't walk by me without shaking my hand." And
Man.
yeah. And so,
Yeah.
that not, once again, it's not having mercy, not being empathetic. Like, those are just, I'm growing, but those are major weaknesses in my personality as well. I can tend to not care enough about what people think, which can be a good thing at times, but it can also be a very big weakness at times. I tend to think that I am the smartest person in the room or the most talented person in the room, which is rarely true.
Even when you're in the room with me?
Except for when I'm in the room with you. I also have a problem with lying to my wife. That's a weakness.
Yeah.
So the list could go on and on and on, but
Okay.
those are some of the things.
Okay, so let's talk ways that I can magnify Thomas's strengths and minimize and support him in his weaknesses.
Let's hear this, because I need this.
So we already talked about the fact that one of your weaknesses is finances. So we already talked about that aspect.
Yeah.
That I step in and handle the finances for him. I also will help maybe explain why I'm seeing the financial side in a certain light.
Most of the time, I'm just like, I don't even care. Just whatever you think is the right
Usually
thing
you'll
to do.
trust me. But I'm talking about, like, if there's something that you want to purchase and I don't think it's a good idea.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Then you will listen to me. And okay. And then as far as the merciful side, I will try to come in and encourage him to consider this aspect of that person, or maybe they were thinking this or whatever.
Once again, just like I'm the voice of reason for you in certain areas, you're the voice of reason for me in others.
Yeah. And I'm sure that all of you are catching on to the fact that Thomas and I are very different and we're opposites in a lot of ways.
In almost every way.
Almost every way. And that God paired us together because he knew this, and he knew that we needed to help each other with these strengths and weaknesses. But as far as how can I uplift you in your strengths, really, I think the main way that I see that I can help you with your strengths is to encourage you, to just uplift you with it, and encourage you to keep going and go for your goals and do the things that you want to do. And also just verbally encourage him and uplift him in the things he does. So, great sermon. I love that graphic design, things like that, and just encourage you. Do you see other ways that I can help you with your strengths and encourage and uplift you with those things?
Better than you are right now? I think one of your strengths is helping me in my strengths.
Okay. Anything else that I could do to help you with your weakness? I keep us organized unless he makes scheduling things that he doesn't talk to me first. Then it's really difficult to help with that. That happened today.
Well, I thought you were in a conversation we were having with our friends yesterday at breakfast, but you had stepped out to use the restroom. And we had mentioned about going to see Thor on Monday. And I thought you were there when we talked about the day. You came in at the end of the conversation, I think.
All I heard is that you guys were talking about going to a movie together. And I was like, oh, sounds fun. That's it. I didn't know that a day had been mentioned. So I wasn't able to say, okay, wait every minute, buddy. Because that's me. Let me check my calendar.
The organization aspect, yeah.
Right, yeah. So then now we have a...
Then I thought we were all in the clear. And she's like, no, we have dentist
2
appointment.
meetings.
You've got another meeting.
I have a team. Yeah. Team meeting. So we actually have 2 conflicts.
Yeah.
That time.
So
But we're gonna make it work.
So I was like, yeah, everybody, this is my bad for sure.
You definitely owned your mistakes, which is another one of your strengths. Yes. So I can help him with his organization, not only with planning and scheduling, but also around the home. And try to keep his stuff where it goes. So he'll leave his stuff at random places, and I try to put it back to the place where I know he'll be able to find it later. And And I'm trying to think of other examples of that. Just making sure he has food.
Yeah.
And like making sure his laundry is in the drawer. Just things like that.
It's nice because I don't have to think about most things.
Yeah, not
It's just taken care of.
that kind of stuff. Okay. Anything else that we've missed on this topic here, Thomas? Magnifying strengths and minimizing the weaknesses.
Well, and one of the things I do want to make sure we point out is, yes, it's important for you to understand your spouse's weakness, but the point is not to throw it in their face.
Right.
The point is not even necessarily to get them to change. Nobody's going to change unless they want to change. And if you try to change somebody who doesn't want to change, it just leads to resentment. Mm-hmm. So the point of understanding your spouse's weakness is then understanding how I can help support them in those weaknesses.
Right.
So really getting that information really has nothing to do with them. It has more to do with you in what you can do to try to help them in spite of their weaknesses. So I want to make sure that's very clear, that we're not here trying to just dog somebody for their weakness. And it's one of the reasons why we designed this episode where we specifically give our own weaknesses. And we will never talk about each other's weaknesses in front of anybody else. Like, we're doing it for you publicly together, but my wife will never go behind my back and talk about my weaknesses to anybody else unless we've talked about it and she has a situation where she's trying to help somebody. Mm-hmm. I'm never going to go behind my wife's back and talk about some of her weaknesses and some of her issues. Like, that's not okay. So the point is, these things help me know how I can help my spouse. And that's really what it's all about. So one of the things that we want you to do as a spouse as a couple, is to kind of go through this exercise together and talk through your struggles and successes and ask the question, how can we help the other spouse to grow in their strengths and uplift them in their weaknesses?
And one thing that I want to point out to you is that when you do this with your spouse, you are making yourself very vulnerable, and it's uncomfortable. Like, I have felt uncomfortable during this episode. Have you at all?
No.
Like, exposing your weaknesses, talking about your strengths, none of that makes you feel uncomfortable?
Not at all.
Okay, it makes me feel uncomfortable. I don't like being vulnerable like that. I don't really like the spotlight just talking about me anyway, but talking about my weaknesses, I mean, sharing those publicly, but even with Thomas, it just feels like I'm open. You know, it's being transparent. And so just be prepared for that. Some of you that maybe have a similar personality as me, you may feel very vulnerable, and that's okay. It's good. This is a good exercise for you. So don't be afraid to go ahead and do that.
And maybe you can ask for help in a certain way. So if you know, like if I know I'm weak in a certain area, asking your spouse, hey, I need some help in this area. Like, organizationally, I need your help to keep the calendar and make sure. And once again, we usually talk each other before we schedule anything, and I didn't do that. Weakness. But asking for help in a certain way. And really, that's what marriage is all about. It's about helping and supporting one another. Going all the way back to one of the reasons God instituted marriage in the first place. He looks out, he sees Adam all alone. And in Genesis 2:18, he says, I will make him a helper fit for him. In other words, I'm going to make him a help that's just right for him and what he needs. And that's what we're supposed to be for each other. Lysandra is to be the help that I need. I'm to be the help that she needs, and we're here to support and encourage each other.
Mm-hmm. And that's what makes a strong team, and that's what you want to be. You want to be the strongest team you can possibly be in your marriage. And not only can we help in these different ways, these unique, specific ways, but we can also intentionally work to put one another in the best possible light for others to see. So maybe publicly encouraging the other in their strengths rather than bringing up their faults and failures. And Thomas talked a little bit about this briefly. But I think about this just the other day. We had breakfast with our friends and he was just talking about that. But he was talking about, he said to them that I'm an excellent cook. And he was just saying something positive about me. And he didn't sit there and tell people how I'm like overly sensitive and I'm super annoying and in your face. And she doesn't do anything at night. She's so terrible at night. Like he didn't go through and talk about my weaknesses. He talked about my strengths to other people, and I try to do the same for him. So this is another way that we can empower our spouses in their strengths, because oftentimes when other people hear what their strengths are, then they can have opportunities in the future to use those strengths because other people have now heard about them. And so that's another way just to make an opportunity for them.
And you and your spouse have differences, and that's a good thing.
Right.
Like, it's a good thing that I have certain strengths and Lysandra has other strengths. And where she has some weaknesses, I have some strengths. And where I have weaknesses, she has strengths. And we complement one another. And we support and we encourage one another. So having those differences is great. So don't downplay and don't look at the differences as a negative. Those differences are a positive. And because you are different, each of you bring different things and different strengths to the table, into the marriage, into the team, as we talked about the team aspect. And so think about what those strengths are and what those differences are, and how can we highlight them as a positive.
Right. And remember that no one is perfect. You are not perfect.
You're pretty close.
Haha. We have stated very clearly in this podcast that I am nowhere near perfect.
No, that's not true. You
everyone
stated
knows the
what
weaknesses.
you thought were weaknesses.
Oh, you wouldn't disagree with anything that I said, any of my weaknesses. But the point is that we all struggle, okay? So no one's perfect. We all struggle. And you may have an incorrect view of yourself, or you might have an incorrect view of your spouse. Maybe you think that you have no value and you have only weaknesses. Your spouse has all the gifts. That is untrue.
Yeah.
Maybe you think your spouse can't do anything right and you're carrying the whole load of the family on your own. This too is untrue. We all have strengths. We all have weaknesses. So let's start acting like a team and helping each other out where we struggle and empowering each other to do what we're good at.
So we want to encourage you to have a family meeting tonight and just share the strengths you see in your spouse. And there's just something about hearing your spouse say the positive things about you that draws you close to each other. And so spend some time talking about the strengths. Like I said, maybe you just want to sit down and make a list. Like, these are the positive attributes. These are the strengths. These are the things that this person brings to the table. And use this family meeting to encourage and uplift and magnify their good qualities and gifts and talents and their abilities. And then each spouse can share their own weaknesses and describe how they could use some help in these areas. So you're going to do exactly what we've done, where you share the other person's strengths, you share your own weaknesses. And hey, this is maybe some ideas of how I can get some help in these areas of my life. And I think it'll be a beneficial thing to draw you closer as a team and make the team better overall.
Thanks for joining us today. Please go and subscribe to the Family Meeting podcast from your favorite podcast provider. And if you have found this information to be helpful, please share this episode on social media and invite your friends and family to listen in with you.
To find more content and information Lysandra and I provide, you can go to our website, familymeeting.org. And maybe you want to send us some episode ideas. Send them to info@familymeeting.org, or you can shoot us a text or call us and leave a voice message, and we'll reply to that message on a future episode. That number is 904-257-3062. 904-257-3062.
And we want to invite you to join us for our next family meeting as we talk about helping your children set goals. Most accomplishments in life are achieved because we set a goal and we work towards that goal. Let's look at how to help our children understand setting attainable goals and giving them the tools to achieve those goals.
And there's still time to join us in Orlando for a relationship refresh, just over a week away. And we'd love to have you be a part of that event.
Yes.
Thanks for joining us today for this family meeting. Have a great week, everybody. This meeting is adjourned. All right, another one down.
Yep.
93, marching on. And so we think about strengths and weaknesses.
Mm-hmm.
You are so amazing and have so many strengths. I want you now to list every single one of your strengths, A to Z. You have to have one strength for every letter, A to Z.
I really need to get lunch started. So I don't have enough time right now. But boy, I look forward to doing that in the future.
I think we should just put the spotlight on you for a whole episode.
Let's not.
Like a whole episode, just be Lysandra time.
I'm uncomfortable right now.
I know.
Like, I would like to.
That's literally why I'm doing this.
Yeah.
To help get you out of your comfort zone and into a place where you can shine like the angel that you are.
Oh, my goodness. Thanks, guys, for joining us on YouTube. We have got to cut this episode off.
Have a great week. We'll see you later.